And on our team, we also looked at the issues that come up in the therapy relationship between therapist and client. It turns out that many of the difficulties with trust, feelings of betrayal, worries about abandonment and rejection, many of those things that get in the way of trauma survivors being able to trust others are enacted in the context of the therapy relationship. So what does this mean? Essentially, it means that there are going to be times where the client is going to have conflicts with the therapist, is going to get angry at the therapist, is going to feel hurt by the therapist. Sometimes it's nothing particularly problematic that the therapist said or did. It's just that individuals who have trauma histories have a certain sensitivity to betrayals, understandably, right? And sensitivity to violations of trust. And so very often, when you set limits as a therapist, like, issues around lateness or around fees or things like that, when therapists are consistent and set limits, it can be the case that some clients will feel very hurt or angry or distressed. Those are really important moments, those enactments. How the therapist weathers those moments, what happens in the context of the relationship, can be enormously beneficial to the client. If the therapist gets defensive, if the therapist gets critical, that's the worst thing to do. Sometimes you're taken for a loop and you're surprised by some of the things that the client says. But if you're able to sit with your feelings and react in a way that's different than what the client has experienced in all other relationships in his or her life, where you're not punitive, you're not angry, you're not critical, you don't abandon the client or abandon the relationship or lose faith in the client's ability to recover. If you're able to do that, what you do is you repair the relationship. Those moments of repair where the client has enacted some sort of difficult struggle and there's been some repair between the client and the therapist, those moments are what we mean by a corrective emotional experience. The therapy relationship itself becomes a vehicle for healing, and that is enormously beneficial to survivors of intrafamilial trauma.